good to see everybody out here on this beautiful Lord's Day. For the last several weeks, I've been working through the book of James, still in the first chapter, and going verse by verse through it. And we've had some good sermons, I think, from James about who he was and then what he's saying and who it's actually directed to. And how some people kind of think James and Paul are contradicting each other, but they're not. Because of some of the words that James uses in later chapters makes it sound like he's talking about a works, a faith works, where in order to get into heaven you got to do works, but that is not what he's saying. And as we get into that sermon, as that point comes up, then we'll get more deeper into it. But so far we've been looking at first chapter, and James is talking about count it for joy when we go through trials and tribulations. Exercise patience and let our faith work out. Stay patient. Don't get in a rush. And if we lack wisdom on a certain subject, ask God to give us the wisdom we need. And as we saw with Solomon, when God asked him, "What do you want?" Solomon said, "Give me wisdom to lead the people." Solomon said, could have said, "Make me the richest man on earth." Or he could have said, "Give me the longest life ever." But he said, "Give me wisdom to lead these people." And God gave him the wisdom to lead the people. And he gave it to him abundantly. If you ever studied Solomon, he had wisdom and could lead the people like he needed to. Then last week, we looked at verse 6 of James. "But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the seas, driven with the wind and tossed." I don't know if you've ever seen a ship out on the ocean, or even just a wave, especially if it's in the middle of a storm. It's just going every which way. There's no rhythm to it. There's no set pattern. It's just being tossed all over the place. And men and humans, we get tossed all over the place. Now, compare this verse 6, with the scripture where Peter walked on water. And Peter had asked the Lord, said, "If it's you that's out there, have me come out on the water to you." And Jesus said, "Come on." And so Peter got out of the boat, and if you have read in that passage, you know the story. The boat was being tossed all over the place. But Peter got out and started walking on the water. But then he started to sink because he started looking at his surroundings. Like he's going, "Wait a minute. I just stepped out of a perfectly fine boat. that was keeping me above water. Now I'm out here. Waves are taller than me. And he started getting scared. And he started to sink and get blown about. And he cried out, "Jesus, save me." And we looked how Jesus reached out and took Peter's hand. But if Peter had not taken his eyes off of Jesus in the first place, he would not have had to ask Jesus to save him. Now this week, we're picking up in James chapter 1, verse 7. And this is kind of a continuation of the phrasing from verse 6. "For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord." And it also picks up into verse 8. It's a closing out of verse 6 and then leads into verse 8. "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." The first part of that verse, verse 7. "For let not that man," that is referring back to the man of chapter 6. Or verse 6, I mean. "Let him ask in faith, not wavering." Don't ask for something and then say, "No, I'm going to do it on my own," is what it's saying. And that's that same man. "Think that he shall receive anything of the Lord." Have you ever noticed in your prayer life, you pray for something, asking for God's guidance, but then you continue going about the way you've been going, and it doesn't seem like God answers or hears your prayer? This is what it's talking about. You ask for help on something, but you don't let God step in and help. Or you don't give it to God and let God take control of it. And that's what these 3 verses are saying. Ask for faith, ask for wisdom, but let God have control of it. And once He has control, let Him take it. Don't step back in and say, "No, this is the way it's going to be done." Because then God will go, "Okay, do it your way, see what happens." And you'll see that if you try to control it, you're going to be tossed about like a cork in a storm. You're going to be bounced around, so you're not going to know which way's up. But if you give it to God and you allow Him to handle it, take care of it in His time, then you're not going to be tossed like a cork. You're going to have a steady, smooth sail. And that is what verse 7 is talking about. It's not this, what some people call prosperity gospel, or the name it and claim it. It is not talking about that at all. It is your spiritual faith. You ask for wisdom. You give it to God. It's not praying, "God, give me $1 million because I prayed this prayer," and expecting $1 million to automatically appear. It's not that, because that'll never happen. It's when you pray, give me the strength, give me the wisdom and knowledge to go through this trial. You have control of it, but I'm leaning on you. It is yours. You take care of it. And when you say that, you take your hands off of it, and you just step back and let God do His work. And when you do that, you will receive blessings from God. Now, they're not going to be the monetary blessings you see a lot of stuff on Facebook about or anything like that. It'll be your faith, your wisdom will be strengthened. Your patience will become larger because you have let God control it. So as we finish up today, if you have a problem in your life you want to pray about, I'll be down in front and we can pray about it and ask God for His wisdom and His leading in it. If you want to become a Christian and ask for God to come into your life, I'll be down front and we can talk about that. Or if you want to join our fellowship, we would love to have you.
Amen.
And so, whatever your decision, whatever God leads you to do, I'll be down here in front waiting to receive you. And so as we sing 361 for our invitation hymn, I'll be down in front.